call with Carrie Daigle. So we're excited. We do this call every Monday. We've done this call every Monday for the past 7.5 years. So I'm glad that you guys are on the call now. And we bring just great resources to this call, doctors, people on the business, people on the Tower Gardens, other distributors that we really want to hear from. And so we're working on the next 6 months. I know we've already got a couple months that are set, and then Olivia will get that out. Really want to thank Olivia for updating the Google Drive, and we got a lot of great things going. If you have not downloaded the Be the Good app, please do so, you guys. It is amazing, that Be the Good app and everything that you have on there. But this call, I'm super excited about. Also, St. Louis. Working on some really cool things for St. Louis. I've got all the Robbins people that I know, they're all from St. Louis. So we're going to be doing some really cool stuff with them. They're all the really cool AV guys. So excited on events that we've got already that we're planning for St. Louis for you all. So get your rooms for St. Louis. Really important. Get that going right away. And that's because it'll be here right around the corner anytime. Also, Cheryl and I are speaking at a regional event in LA on May the 7th. And so make sure that you get people there. There's also an event coming up with Jenna Rude in San Diego on April the 1st. And I know that we've posted all of those things, but really get people to events. We'll be having an event here on Thursday, every Thursday here at my house. And this week, Tanya, Joss, and Danielle is going to be talking a lot about social media. Danielle obviously is a sideline, but Danielle and her team of 4 girls put on nearly 200 customers this month. So I think there's a lot to learn from her about customer acquisition. And so she'll be sharing that as well. And that'll be 7 o'clock here at my house. But the speaker tonight is someone I've known for a long time. I think I've known you, Jeff, gosh, maybe like 15 years. And super excited. We've always just been friends, just connecting whenever we, I think it was kind of through Jeff. I don't even know how we connected. But I remember one time when I just moved here to Las Vegas, and we were at the Palms. You remember that? And we were there for a preview of an event. And I remember sitting beside you and felt really connected. And ever since then, I think our friendship has always been one of my favorite things. You're very dear to my heart. And super excited that you are now part of the Juice Plus community. But we were talking just a couple days ago, and you had been with another company, and now you're part of this organization. I'm part of Juice Plus. And I know you've been friends with Jeff forever, and you'll share about that. But we were talking about, why you really chose Juice Plus, and also I asked if you would share what really does make Juice Plus so unique. Because I think sometimes when we're in, it's kind of like we're living in the glass house. We don't see some of the things that you have seen and why you made the decision that you made. So maybe you could share your story and really get everybody to understand why Juice Plus is the golden ticket for everybody. So I'm going to pass it over to you.
Okay, thanks, Lauren. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, you're good.
Thanks for having me on the Zoom call. Good evening, everybody. Actually, Lauren and I met through, I think it was Tony Robbins' event way back when. As most of you know, Lauren's very big with Tony, and I've been following Tony for many, many years. But Lauren's awesome. I think her story about how Jeff dripped on her for all those years is incredible to show the importance of persistency. But a little about myself real quick. Jeff Weisberg. I live in Southern California, Los Angeles area. I've been full-time in network marketing now for 28 years. And like Lauren had mentioned, I was with another company, one of the top distributors with them for 15.5 years. And last year we had some issues with the authorities, and things kind of changed for us. And so having a business 15.5 years, working full-time, building one of the top businesses in the company, all of a sudden it was kind of gone, and I had to kind of look around. And when something like that happens, you don't really know what to do. And I started thinking of what I was going to do. And obviously everybody's approaching you. Larry Thompson, one of the founders of Herbalife, very good friend of mine. I talked to him. I talked to Jeff. Jeff and I have been friends for over 30 years. We met back before Jeff even got into Juice Plus and Herbalife in the early 80s. So I'm probably dating myself a lot. And I was involved in NSA 20-something years ago with Jeff building in Europe. And then came back to the United States, was working international, and Juice Plus had started, but it didn't really excite me, and I didn't really see the big picture. Big mistake. But when I started looking around at what I wanted to do, Larry said to me, you know, what you need to do is you need to make a logical decision, not an emotional decision, and you need to write down a list of 4, 5, or 6 things that are non-negotiable for you in what you're looking to build. Having been with one company 15 and a half years, I knew one of them was long-term. So I was able to, you know, take several months to kind of decide what to do, not just jump into something. And I kind of put a list together. And then I started talking to friends of mine. I mean, obviously, not to sound like a big shot, but when you're in an industry 28 years, you know a lot of people. I got approached by people from all kinds of companies with all kinds of deals and positions and spots and bridge money and everything. But I realized that might have worked for a while, but after that, who knows what would have happened in a couple of years, and I didn't want to rebuild over and over again. So when I started going through my criteria, Jeff and I were talking. We were at a mastermind with Larry and Kyle Wilson, the founder and president of Jim Rohn Productions, Halloween weekend. And we kind of started talking, and he said to me, you know, when was the last time you looked at Juice Plus? And I said, come on, you know, you're at the top of this thing, Juice Plus, it's old school. He says, you really need to take a look at it. And I started looking at the 5 things that were important to me, and Juice Plus was one of the only companies that fit all 5. And I was totally shocked at that because I thought there'd be several companies. And just Lauren had asked me to share with you my criteria that were important to me being a networker all these years, that for maybe some of you that are in Juice Plus and it might be your first business, you're unaware of this, or maybe you don't realize how good you have it. Number 1 with me was a company that was owned by the owner. What I mean by that is a lot of companies today are being either owned by investment firms, or they're public. So the bottom line with an investment firm, or if you're public, is the bottom line. They're not owned by the Jay Martins who started a company who is not in the business for the money. And so it was important that I found a company that was run and owned by the person that started it, he or she. Obviously, 40 plus years, Juice Plus has that. Number 2 is leadership in the field. I didn't want to be with somebody that was just successful and had maybe been very successful, but had been successful in 3 or 4 companies, and every couple of 2, 3, 4, 5 years was looking for a different opportunity. Obviously, with Juice Plus, Jeff and I forget that we're friends all these years. You know, not only is he the number 1 money earner in the company, going on his 29th year, but he's one of the top 10 money earners in the history of our industry. So you've got somebody as an upline, as all of us do, that it's hard to beat. And he's been kind of semi-retired for about 12 years and hasn't really personally enrolled anybody. So I'm like one of the first people he's personally enrolled in 12 years. And he kind of got excited about that because we had worked in the past together. Number 3 was product. I was looking for a product that had a lot of science. I know there's a lot of great products out there that at least owners talk about and distributors talk about, but they have no science. Company I was with, we had some clinical studies done. That was very important. And not only does Juice Plus have science, but they got over 30 peer-reviewed journal studies. To my knowledge, I didn't know of any companies that had that many. And I didn't know that it had that many. I was blown away. And it's not studies on fruits and vegetables, it's studies on Juice Plus. So that's very, very impressive for those of you that may or may not know that. Number 4 is international. You know, I built a very large international business, and I wanted to be with a company that already had been in international markets and gone through the growing pains, because anytime you open a new country, no matter how big a company you are, you're going to have growing pains. Well, Juice Plus is in 20 plus countries, and they're excited about opening up Latin America, where I had a very big business, and Asia. So that was important. Over the next 3 to 5 years, they're on an aggressive plan. And then number 5 was really a system. You know, a lot of times when you're a top distributor, you got to put all these systems together, develop everything, and that's a nightmare, and it's a lot of work. Here at Juice Plus, you've got all these systems, all this technology, and people can just plug in, like Lauren doing this call every week. And so it makes it easier for a person to plug people into a system instead of having to develop a system. Mm-hmm. And so that was another thing. And so Juice Plus hit all 5 of those. I just got back from being at 3 different conferences. I went with Jeff over to the UK, saw that conference. Lauren was over there as well. The following week, we were over in Spain, saw that conference. And then obviously, we was just at the conference in Phoenix. And so being able to be at those 3 conferences in 4 weeks, here's what I also saw that was very impressive. Number one in the UK, it was probably mostly kids in their 20s, and they're building online and offline. In Spain, all the Italians, they're maybe late 20s, early 30s. They're mostly building all online. And then here in the United States, those of you that were at the conference, it was mostly women, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And what I kind of found funny is that every single person that spoke was a woman, and all the guys were sitting there holding the plaques. And that's kind of something you don't see too often if you've been around, because it kind of goes from my wife's business, little things she's starting, to all of a sudden it's our business. And it was very enlightening to see how in the U.S. it's so driven by women. It's, moms on a mission, and how driven the product is. And so I got to see 3 different conferences with 3 different ways of doing the business. And my takeaways, Jeff and I were talking about that last week when we got back in town. He's like, so tell me what you thought the good, bad, and the ugly was of the conferences and what your thoughts were. And I've been going to conferences for 28 years. And I said, well, what amazed me the most at the U.S. conference was probably the simplest thing of all. And that was at the very end when Sean and Jennifer finished speaking, and I knew them from 20 plus years ago. Sean asked for everybody who had been in Juice Plus to come up on stage longer than 20 years. Now, they dimmed the lights and they had confetti. For those of you that were there, you saw that. I couldn't exactly count everybody up there, but it looked like about 75 to 100 people. And here's what I can tell you, being in this industry a long time, most companies don't last 20 years, let alone 75 to 100 people in one room being on a stage that had been with a company 20 plus years. That was by far, to me, the most impressive thing of the whole weekend, because it showed longevity, which was something that was very important to me. Everybody's got different things that they want. I already knew about the science. I knew about the success. I knew about that. But that's very impressive for those of you that maybe haven't been around that long. Over in Europe, what I thought was very impressive is that Dan Holtzman, who's the CEO of Europe and pretty much the number 2 shareholder for Juice Plus worldwide, and I were talking at the event in Spain. And he told me that 7 of the top 10 money earners in Europe today have been in the business less than 5 years. 7 of the top 10. Now, Paolo Meucci is number 1. He went to number 1. He went from 39 Club to 600 Club in a little over 2 years because of social media and these the twins, Andrea and Stefano, that he brought in the business. But he had been sitting at the same level for 15 years, 39 Club. And his sponsor is one of the top 10. And then Vim and Birgit are in the top 10. Everybody else is 5 years or newer. The number 2 distributor in all of Europe is a gal named Sinead. She's in her 20s. She's been in the business less than 3 years. So that showed me that it's not just the Jeffs or the Cheryl Cortez. The International Global Conference in Dubai in 2020, and they want to be at $1 billion in sales. So imagine what's going to happen to this company when it goes from 600 to $1 billion and $1 billion to $1.5 billion. You compare Juice Plus to companies like Amway or Herbalife or Mary Kay or Nu Skin that are legacy companies, and it's really only started. And I believe, being in this industry, that Juice Plus is the best kept secret out there, because 99% of networkers are just like me. Oh yeah, Juice Plus is another one of those old, it's like getting into Mary Kay today, or getting into Amway, or getting into Herbalife. And it's the best unkept secret that I know of. And I think you're going to start to see more and more networkers get involved here because of what you guys have your hands on. I think by tying into social media with the Juice Plus story, with the credibility, is incredible. And then the last 2 things probably that, again, you probably take for granted because you're in the company, that is unheard of in the industry, is number 1, when a person gets started, they get shipped a 4-month supply of product and can pay for it monthly. That's unheard of. No company mails you 4 months worth of product and you pay for it monthly. If you want 4 months worth of product, you buy 4 months worth of product. Here they mail it to you and you make payments. That's unheard of. You take the Tower Garden. What is it, about a $500 appliance? I think it's $50 down and $50 a month for a year. Again, I don't know of a company that does that. And the thing that goes hand in hand with that is the Children's Health Study. where if you get on the product, your kid gets it for free, and all the parent pays is the shipping and handling, and the upline pays like $35, which is nothing, but your volume is not adjusted. In most companies, if an adult got the product and the points are 100 points, let's call it, and the children's product was free, you would get less than 100 points on that. You would get 75 or 50 points to offset the free product. Juice Plus doesn't do that at all. So you get the same amount of points on your order, whether your child gets the product for free or not. And they've done that with hundreds of thousands of kids, unheard of. So seeing all those things, for a lot of you, you probably say, oh, Jeff, of course, that's normal. But just coming from an outsider's perspective, I think it's unbelievable. And I had a lot of choices, like I said, to go wherever I wanted with a lot of deals. And I chose Juice Plus because I firmly believe it's going to be around another 15 and a half years or longer, where I can have another 15 and a half year run. And I think some of the people that you're starting to hear about 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now are going to be the big money earners. Yeah, they may not catch some of the people in accumulated income, but I think on a monthly basis, you're going to see that happen. Sinead proved it. She's number 2 in Europe. She's been in the business less than 3 years, and Juice Plus has been in Europe 20 plus years. So it shows it can happen. I believe it's going to happen in America and other parts of the world. And with the international expansion, for those of you that like international, like Lauren's got a huge international business, you can't beat it. It's the greatest opportunity. And you take technology like Zoom calls and things like this, and you put them all together, and it's definitely, you know, for me to say it's the right place at the right time being new is a little different than Jeff saying it or Lauren saying it, but I truly believe it. That's why I'm here. So I'll turn it back over to you, Lauren. Thanks for having me on the call.
Oh, you're awesome. Sorry, I'm giving my dogs water as we do this. I love what you shared. I mean, you know, it's funny, as you were talking, I grabbed my notebook out, and it's funny because it was a little piece of paper I wrote, I guess it would be 3 years ago, but I just picked it up, and it talks about the leader of the future, and it says the leader of the future has global thinking, cross-cultural appreciation, tech savvy of how it influences and creates change, building alliances and partnerships, and shared leadership, which is, you know, asking, listening, and learning versus the old model of just telling. And, you know, it's so funny because if you look about why that, you know, Juice Plus is really growing as well, are a lot of those, and the leaders that are growing now, it's because of those 5 things. You know, they are tech savvy. They're building alliances and partnerships. They've got, you know, they're sharing their knowledge. It's not like they're just taking their information from themselves. They're sharing it with sidelines, right? I mean, maybe talk a little bit about Italy and what you learned over there about social media. Could you take a minute on that?
Sure. I spent a couple of days ago. There's 2 twins over in Italy, Stefano and Andrea, and they were in town. Stefano and his girlfriend, and we spent the day together in LA, along with Venus, who's a NMD 100 Club. They have different levels in Europe. She's a PNMD, and her boyfriend, he's I think a 50 or 100 Club. And it was funny because they're in Spain and they do online, offline, but the guys in Italy do 100% online. It's mind-boggling. They do corporate events and they do a boot camp once a quarter. Everything else is online. And Stefano's girlfriend, Daniela, and I were talking. She told me over the last year she's been averaging 80 to 100 personal customers a month. A month. Again, being in network marketing, it's unheard of. Lauren mentioned another gal here on your team that's doing that as well. And I said, how do you do that? And she started sharing with me that they get a lot of people over there doing the business full time, replacing their job. Because if somebody's making a couple of 2,000, 3,000 euros, let's call it $2,000, $3,000 a month, they show them exactly how they can replace that. By number one, if you're making 2,000 or 3,000 at a job, less taxes, you figure out what you're bringing home. You divide it by 4 weeks, and then you figure out what it is. So let's assume somebody's bringing home $2,000. That's basically $500 a week. That's $100 a day. They figure out exactly how many customers you have to get on a Trio Pack or Trio Plus Complete on a daily basis with your retail and wholesale profit. And let's say it's 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the number is. And that's what they show people how to do on a daily basis. So instead of going to work for 8 hours, doing something for somebody else, you can stay home for 8 hours, work on the internet, and get yourself customers. And they focus on a couple of things. Number one, every single day they're posting on their Facebook. 1, 2, 3 times a day, every single day. Not like today's Monday, let's post 10 times and do nothing the rest of the week. Consistency, just like if we were talking to people. 1, 2, 3 times a day about personal growth or health or wellness or beauty or fruits and vegetables or nutrition or weight loss or things like that. They believe that everybody has a story. So when you get started, you need to set up your Facebook profile no matter who you are. You're a school teacher, you're a truck driver, you're a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. You've got a story to tell. And obviously leading with the product and then sharing your story. And then every time somebody engages with them, whether it be a like or a comment, they start to what? Engage with the person. Oh, Lauren, I see you sent me a comment. Or, oh, Lauren, I see, whatever Lauren said. And then they'll go to Lauren's website or Lauren's Facebook profile, and they'll start to learn a little about Lauren. And they'll just start a dialogue, like if you're at a cocktail party. They won't call Lauren back and say, let me tell you about Juice Plus. They'll just start a dialogue. Oh, I see you like dogs, or oh, I see you like fishing, or oh, I see you're into sports, or I see you like needlepoint, or whatever it is. And start to carry on a conversation. Because remember, Lauren liked what I posted, or Lauren commented on what I posted, and just start a dialogue. And they do that with every single person that interacts with them. Yep. And so the more you're posting, I guess with this Facebook algorithm they were explaining to me, the more your posts go through. And I guess Facebook likes that. And so they're making sure that they're consistent and they're keeping it generic and cleaning up their profile. And then just every day they're engaging with people. So she's getting all these customers because she leads with the product. Their philosophy, they told me, was when you get a customer, one of the 3 things happens. Either A, nothing, you get a customer and they just use the product. B, the customer refers you other customers. Or C, the person gets involved in the business. Yep. And that's how they've been building it in Europe.
And, it's funny because that's really, when I talk, I keep going back to, when I was building my business, I was on the road 165 days a year. So the only way I could really engage with people was via Facebook. So it was all about adding value, whether it be a recipe or whether it be, like you said, an inspirational quote. So your job, really to add value, with regards to these people, or, when it's somebody's birthday, seeing, wishing you a happy, healthy, wealthy, year. And then that person goes to your page and goes, oh, wonder what she's been up to, right? Or looking at, like you said, like looking at who actually likes your page. Like there's this girl who used to be on our, really active with Juice Plus. And every time she likes one of my posts, I know she still wants it, but I just keep watching to see how many times she likes something because I know that conversation is still over until she gets over herself. You know what I mean? So I think we have Danielle on the phone. Danielle, are you there? I think Danielle's on the phone. I know she's on the line.
Hi. Yeah, I'm here.
And just maybe you could share a little bit as well about with regards to social media. So your team this month put on 200 customers? About?
Just short. We will do by the end of the month.
So about 200 customers. And so for you with social media, she's amazing with regards to it, but maybe you could share a couple things like what Jeff just shared. And Danielle's almost 21. And so she has decided that for her, she doesn't want a 9-to-5, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what's happened for you that we can, with regards to what you've...
Well, my business is definitely like 85% on social media. It's easier for me, especially with me being in America. Like it's hard for me to build my UK business in face-to-face. So obviously I have to use social media to build it. So the team, we just tend to, I know I went over this last week on the call, but like we just tend to post on social media. We all have our own niche because obviously we have to stay true to who we are because there's no point us trying to be each other because no one will buy into it. But we do just stay consistent on Facebook. We're posting all the time. We're just sharing what we're up to. We use it as like a blog, really. We just like blog what we're eating, how we're feeling, how our customers are feeling, and then other people just want to get involved because they want to feel as good as we do. And we just find that's like the easiest way to get customers rather than having to go out and like speak to people all the time, like one-on-ones and stuff. It's good to do that, but it's hard to reach so many people in a short amount of time because we can like get like 10 customers a day. on Facebook, and it would be hard for us to go and do 10 meetings in one day, as well as working, like all my team obviously like work as well.
So that's a big thing. I think that if you guys really heard that, right? If you're doing, with regards to social media, what are you doing? You're condensing time. Like instead of getting one customer on a one-on-one, you know, that you've really got, and you have the opportunity to get 10 new customers online. So that's a really big thing about condensing time. So being smart with your time and your, what else would you say? Would you want to share?
We really look after our customers, because obviously customer retention is like the best thing to do, because then it saves you having to go and find like 500 more people after them 500 people have finished their four months worth. So we have like our private support group, and I know that the Team YOLO one is now open, so make sure you add like all of your customers into there, because I'll be sharing everything that we do in our customer group in that customer group. So there's always recipes, workouts, healthy tips and stuff like that for our clients to be using, and that's all just through social media as well. So they don't have to go to a class to work out, they don't have to go to a meeting to learn about nutrition. All they have to do is just literally log into that thing, and it keeps them like accountable to being healthy as well and staying on track. And then when it gets to the end of the 4 months, we're always like, oh, do you want to stay involved, or do you want to finish now? It's up to you. If not, we'll just remove you from the group. And then they're always like, I don't want to be like without it, like, because they like being part of the community, so then they stay on. So if you have that connection and that vibe that everyone wants to be a part of, then they don't want to leave, so they're more likely to reorder.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jeff, maybe you could share as well about, I was going to ask you to share. Does anybody have any questions for Jeff and like why he decided? I think it's a really valuable, like I said, I don't think we all realize, you know, I think there's a great line that Tony says. He says that when you're around something enough, you tend to take it just a little bit for granted. And I think sometimes we take this opportunity just a little bit for granted. Like he said, like if you want a 4-month supply with any other company, you're going to have to pay for it up front. That was the big thing for me. You know, it's like, wow, you mean other people don't do that, you know, or, you know, so what about any questions that you guys have for Jeff? I mean, you got to realize that Jeff was a top earner with another company, and this is where he decided to call his new home. So anybody have any question? Yep, Manon?
I do. Hey, Jeff. Thank you so much, by the way. I love your precision and your succinctness and how you really came across directly. It just was amazing. So, you know, I always tell people, you know, there's 5 reasons why I made a business decision to join Duties Plus. And when you're approaching somebody with a business, I mean, how would you approach that? I mean, you're going to go after, you have a network laid out, but I guess you can't go over after your old distributors. So you're going to be going after something new, I'm guessing, right? So can you talk about what your daily method of operation is going to look like and how you're going to approach this?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, you know, a lot of my network was in a lot of foreign countries. I had a big business in Latin America. So a lot of people were already jumping into different companies. And one of the things I said to Larry was, you know, I'm going to lose my whole group. He says, well, you can't jump into every company all your downline jumps into. You got to focus on what's important to you, like you just mentioned. And, you know what to do. You got the skills, you built it. Some of these people are going to jump into things and come 6 months later, they're not going to be happy where they are. And they're going to be looking again or a year later to see what you're doing. So a lot of U.S. people didn't come. Obviously, Latin America, I got some people in Europe that I had at the events in Europe. But, you know, my thing now is I'm trying to get on social media more and more. I'm getting the word out about what I'm doing. A lot of people have reached out and said, wow, what made you pick Juice Plus? Because it's kind of out of the box. And so I've been doing a lot of calls with that. And I kind of shared exactly what I was sharing here. You know, here's what I was looking for. Here's what I wanted. Unfortunately, a lot of networkers are looking to jump into something to make a bunch of money quick, you know, and this is not something you're going to build where you're going to make 5, 10, 20 grand a month in 2, 3, 4, 5 months. You're going to build it over time, but it's going to last. And so if it's a networker that's looking to make the quick hit fast, this isn't for them. If it's somebody that wants to build long-term, it's the best thing out there. And so I think it's the best of both worlds. I mean, when you look at somebody like Meucci, who went from 39 club to 600 club in a little over 2 years To the normal person in the world, that's unbelievable. To some networkers, maybe it's a little slow. But most of those networkers haven't been in deals long-term anyways. To look at Sinead, who's never done network marketing and is number 2 in Europe in less than 3 years, to me, that's pretty incredible. And yet, again, to some networkers, it's not. The other thing is, here you don't have builder packs. You know, like in a lot of companies, you'll come in for $500, $1,000, or $1,500. So people get that big bump. You don't have builder packs here. So it's built on solid ground. It's built on customers. It's built on, you know, residual income. And I think as that compounding effect starts to happen, you know, that penny a day doubled, that's what Juice Plus is. You know, it's not the briefcase with maybe $500,000. It's the penny a day doubled, which is millions. And so my whole thing is when I'm talking to people, if they're looking for something quick, you know, 30, 60, 90, 120 days, this isn't for them and I'm off the phone. If they want long-term, great home, and here's why. But the first thing I recommend everybody does is get on the products. And when I'm seeing that all these people are putting, like Danielle just mentioned, she's putting people on the products, Daniela from Italy is doing it, and all these people, I realize that's building a solid business. Customers are what's going to make your distributorship last. I can share something with you from another company that I'm not involved in, never was, and I'm not a big fan of, but some of you may have heard of a company called Melaleuca. Melaleuca has been around 30 years. They're $1 billion a year company. You know, the guy who started it's still there, Vandersloot. A lot of people don't like the company because of the way he runs his business. But in December, they brought in 120,000 brand new customers in a 30-year-old company doing $1 billion in sales. The biggest month they've ever had of new customers. And if you ask a network marketer about Melaleuca, nobody will touch it because it's an Amway, it's an Herbalife, it's a Mary Kay. That shows, and people have heard of that. Juice Plus, nobody's ever heard of. Juice Plus is wide open, and people need to hear about it. And with the science you have right there, if you're talking to somebody in another company, just ask them what kind of science they have. Most companies in our industry don't have any science, let alone 30 peer-reviewed journals. Most companies don't have a 20-year track record with hundreds of thousands of people on the product. Most companies don't have children getting on the product for free. Those 3 things right there is just something to share with people. And so I'm just talking to as many people as I can. I'm using social media as much as I can for the last, you know, I've been traveling the last month, but now I'm home for a while. So it's just, you know, like Lauren just said, with social media and with the phones, you can get so much more done than running all over the world.
Yep.
And technology just condenses time. So I think the best thing is to increase the numbers. If you're part-time, which most people are, take those blocks of time, like from 7 to 10 at night or during lunch or in the morning or in your car, and just try to get to as many people as you can. And then it's just a compounding effect. Because, again, a penny a day doubled, the first couple of 2-3 weeks looks like nothing. But you get to the 4th week, big money. And that's the same concept I look at here.
Well, and it's funny because the twins, it's funny, like a lot of people, like they pinch themselves off the time. They're like, gosh, I remember when those twins came to conference literally last year. You know, they were at Cheryl's breakout at the very end. Many of you guys might remember. But I think sometimes people look and they might go, oh, we've got time, you know, and just like that whole thing about you got to really condense time. And that's why I would say to you guys, you know, the exercise we did this morning of, you know, really take 15 minutes after this call and do, you know, your 3 to 5 year plan, your 1 year goals, your 6 month goals, your 3 month goals, your next month goals. And I'm going to share mine with you guys real quick because I really want you to do this. And I want you to see that this is building for us, you know, so all of us. And I see all of you as part of this. So 3 years down the line, 2020, YOLO is 2,000 club. By 2020, there are more than 150 NMDs. We have stretched around the globe: Asia, Brazil, Poland, France, Israel, Canada, US, Australia, Spain are all rocking. 1 year goals. By March 2017, Linda's 500 Club Plus, Adam is 500 Club Plus, Luke is 100 Club Plus, Joss is 100 Club Plus, Christine is 200 Club, Linda Clark is 100 Club, Jerry 100 Club. We're a solid 700. I have started a My Mama Foundation book trip for family to go on a safari. Bought a house cash for Santa Barbara. I'm fit, healthier, and foxier than ever. bought a house for each of my kids. 6 months from now, by fall conference, Josh is 39 Club, Linda is 100 Club, Sally is 39 Club, Sally Ross is NMD, Mo is NMD, Nancy Ross is NMD 100 Club, Amy's 100 Club, Adam is 250 Club, Linda's 250, on and on and on. Then I break it down to 3 months, which 3 months from now is by the conference in Melbourne. Josh is the youngest NMD, so it is. Australia conference, Ted is SSC, Donald's SSC, Amy is Q, Luke is a Solid 24 Club, Nancy Ross is NMD, Marissa is SC, Valerie is SC, Tanya is SC, Tanya is SSC, Suzanne is SSC, Andres is SSC, Mo is SSC, UK is back in the mojo flow, can buy Quinn a car cash, buy my mom one of those fancy bags. So then I break it down to my 1 month goals. April 1st to May 1st. Ted fast track to VF and SC. Do 2 events in New York. Suzanne gets Paul to VF and Nada to SC and another VF, and she becomes SSC. Weekly Thursday meeting that we're doing 1.5 million in volume, videos daily, 3 posts daily, workout daily, live in it. So if you just take just a couple minutes, guys, it'll literally take you 15 minutes to get there, and then you know exactly what you need to focus on to make it happen. But we have to look at this like, all opportunities, they have a time frame. Like when I heard him say 15 more years, I'm like, oh my gosh, 15 more years isn't that much longer. I look at 15 years and I go, oh my gosh, I've been in the business 8 years. So that's only double of what I've been in. So I've made me go, I better start busting it out even more, even faster. So what other final questions do you have? We're a little bit, got 5 more minutes. Anybody have any questions for Jeff or anyone else, or any comments that you have about the call? Anyone? Nope. So I'd ask you, just one thing. Really see this 3 to 5 years down the line. I think, and think about, would it be worth it to really go all out? I'm talking all out. Really talk to more people, get out there and treat this like you've invested $500,000 in this business, because you have $1 million a year business in your hand. You just have to decide that you're going for it. And that's what I would share with you guys. Anybody? Questions, comments? No, everybody's muted.
Lauren, thank you so much for doing the call. This was amazing. Jeff, thank you for being on. I appreciate it.
A pleasure.
Yes. Yeah, no, and I just wanted to say thank you to Jeff, and it's great to have you part of the Juice Plus family, and really had a lot of great takeaways from what you said, and thank you for your wisdom.
Thanks, Doc.
Nicole Hall also had a question. I unmuted you, Nicole.
She's muted still, it says. It still says she's muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. Any other means of social media other than Facebook? I mean, I'm always trying to reach out to people who I don't even know, just to try to find a warm market out there of other people in other areas that are into health and nutrition. And, is there any thoughts about that or anything, or just stick with Facebook and networking with the people who are your friends? I mean, is there opportunity to find other friends who are in
groups? You should join some groups, Nicole. I mean, and you have such a great story, Nicole. Those of you that don't know Nicole's a dental hygienist in Sarasota, and I know you've seen a lot of great results with people that have used Juice Plus. I suggested the same thing to Suzanne, of you guys sharing about the results, like in certain groups that you're seeing with Juice Plus. Like, wow, I can't, and you don't even have to say with Juice Plus, it's like, wow, it feels so nice to be able to do my job. And that people aren't having the challenges anymore with inflammation in their gums, and just pique some curiosity in those groups. I would suggest joining some groups. I know that a lot of dental hygienists want to get out of being dental hygienists. Sorry, Paul and Nada and those of you. Huh?
Especially me.
Right. So you can add value and maybe find some groups, dental groups, or just add more value. You've seen this for 7 years, and you've seen a lot of changes with people with regards to their health and with kids. So, you've got a very unique opportunity to talk to people,
Yeah.
Danielle,
Okay.
Daniel, anything you want to add? Because I know you do a lot of liking of different groups.
Like when you go into Facebook, you can like search obviously at the top like groups. So like say if something that you like really like, or like you can look into like healthy in Vegas or healthy in somewhere else, then join them groups, and then you can just post little things in there that like add value, nothing to do with Juice Plus or like any stories or anything like that. Maybe it's like a workout that you've tried or like a healthy recipe. If you keep adding them in there, people are going to start seeing your name more, and then they'll ask you more questions, and you can take out of the group, maybe add them on Facebook, message them directly like that, and then they'll see more of what you're up to by your Facebook feed. So you just, again, creating the relationships, but by first adding value. That's what I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, and that's what we've done on our end too, just to echo that is finding folks that what we call are 3/4 of the way there. They already get it, so when we cross-pollinate a message that, like Danielle's saying, that adds value, it organically creates a conversation. So looking for groups of like-minded people is not a hard thing, but you just have to take a deeper dive and, look at Facebook as being sort of the family reunion, and Instagram and a lot of the other new evolving social media platforms as being the cocktail party. That's where you're going to get the new folks in front of you. Facebook, a lot of times it's the same folks. So unless you're stretching it by getting into different groups, you got to look outside of that box.
Yeah. On Instagram, you can get lots of people looking at your Instagram feed. If you have like, say you do like 30 days now, where you post something like twice a day, you post something healthy on there. And then what you start doing is you go through people's through people's Instagram, and then you can comment on their things, just being like, oh, that looks nice, or I really like your skirt, or like just literally random comments on people's pictures. And then they're going to go to your Instagram automatically, because everyone does. If someone comments on a thing, they're like, oh, who's that? Then they go onto your Instagram. Then there might be someone else that starts following you, and then they start seeing what you're up to, and then they message you. So that's another way how you can reach out to more people on social media.
And the one thing I want to say about Danielle is, you guys, these people, when they're doing social media, they treat it like a business. It's not just a random quote every here and there. I mean, they really put some focused time into it to treat it like a business, and are adding as much value as possible, but also making it fun that people go, I want to hang out with people like that. So make sure that, if you're really going to commit, and I'm watching probably about 70 of you a day to see who's actually doing this. So, even if it's, sitting down for a day and brainstorming your post for the next week. I have my calendar right here in front of me of quotes that are going up on my Facebook about the different things that we're doing every single day, what blog posts I'm putting up. So you want to treat this like a business, because this is basically, Facebook is your office. You can make Facebook your office with regards to it as well. So it's just, taking your office wherever you go. So anyway, I hope this was valuable for you all. Thank you again, Jeff. We really appreciate it. And by conference, you could be a 6 club just by adding frontline and frontline qualifiers. So, and teaching your team to do the same. All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thank you.